Jack Thunder and the Fragments of Anima, Book 6, Light. Chapter 4, Sword in the Stone. Puriturnus sniffled, staring into the water below. They knew that the cult of youth was gone, but why did that snail have to bring it up like that? It was already difficult enough coming back after the war to an empty grotto. At least by caring for it, Puriturnus could ensure that its legacy wasn't forgotten. They were so wrapped up in their own thoughts, they didn't notice the shadowy cloud looming above them, reddened eyes staring down at them. Nemesis smelled the sorrow coming off of Puriturnus. About 3 failures ago, it would have laughed to see the champion of light broken down and miserable like this. But it had no interest in tormenting the youth demigod. It just needed information. Nemesis latched onto Puriturnus's mind. It sifted through memories, seeing Puriturnus's life in the grotto as well as their time in the war, searching for anything about the Light Fragment Excalibur. Eventually, it came across one. Nemesis couldn't believe it. Excalibur was in these very tunnels. Fast as light, it made its way to the chamber where Excalibur sat. The room was entirely dark save for a shaft of light beaming down from above. It fell on a familiar silver and gold sword with the cyan gemstone in the center, sticking up out of a small boulder. Nemesis sighed and rubbed its ethereal hands together. This was not going to be easy. Pulling upwards, the former Wendigo general tried to loosen the light fragment from its place, but Excalibur did not budge. The longer Nemesis held onto the sword, the worse the pain got. It was like the sword was burning a scar into the Wendigo's hands. Eventually, the pain became too much. The sword slipped from Nemesis's grasp, causing the Wendigo to crash into the ceiling. It was no use. Nemesis just could not dislodge the thing. Nemesis heard a commotion coming from one of the tunnels. Jack Thunder and his friends had arrived. It fled into the opposite tunnel. Maybe they could loosen Excalibur, at least a little bit. Kurami couldn't believe her eyes. Excalibur sat right in front of them, unguarded and gleaming in the sunlight. "Wow, that was easy," Jack Thunder proclaimed to her right. "Looks like we just gotta get it out of here." He tugged on the sword, but it wouldn't budge. Kurami looked down at the sword's base. The blade stuck out of a narrow crack in a massive gray stone. No wonder Jack was having trouble. "Here, let me try." She sheathed the Yuki, grabbing Excalibur with both hands. She had no luck either. No matter how hard she strained, she just couldn't extract the sword from its place. Buckthorn, Frosty, Sun, and even Razor each tried their hand. They had about just as much luck. Finally, they had decided to all hold on to Excalibur at the same time and pull. Still, the broadsword didn't move an inch. Kurami sighed and wiped her brow. It's really stuck." "Well, that's just great," Jack Thunder huffed. "How are we supposed to beat the Heart of Darkness if we can't even get Excalibur because it's stuck in a rock?" "Yeah, I know. Not even all of us together could take it out," Buckthorn panted. "Maybe Excalibur needs someone special to extract it?" Kurami suggested. "Like one of the fragment wielders?" Jack Thunder resisted, rolling his eyes. "But if Mr. San couldn't do it, who could?" San interjected. "Kurami has a point. Excalibur might need the Light Champion to remove it from its place. When we go see Puriturnus, we'll ask them if they can handle it. For now we have no choice but to leave it." "But what about the Wendigos?" "I'll watch it," Frosty offered. "At least until Snotter and Shadowpaws get down here. I'll catch up with you later." Jack Thunder, Buckthorn, and Kurami exchanged looks, but they really had nothing to say. They would be back in a moment. Frosty could handle herself until then, couldn't she? Reluctantly, Jack Thunder led the way out of the chamber, leaving the fragment of light and his sister behind. They disappeared into the tunnel before her eyes, the light from Stormbringer fading with distance. Kirami listened for any sign of the Nekomata and fairy snail. She heard nothing except the occasional clattering from a stone falling to the ground. A thick, musty smell filled the air. Through the dark, she could see gems of all shapes and colors sticking up from the walls. They covered every part of the chamber, the floors, the walls, even the ceiling. No wonder Pure Eternus had been so set on guarding this place. The tunnels under the ruins were filled with treasure. Those cultists had a lot more wealth than I thought, Frosty mused to herself. If she were to take one of those tunnels, what else would she find? Gold? Diamonds? Something more valuable, perhaps? She shook her head. What was she thinking? The Wendigos were still hot on their trail. Besides, she might get lost in one of those tunnels. Who knew how long or deep they really went? So she stayed. Even when it seemed like hours had passed, she didn't dare exit the chamber. She found herself wandering in circles around Excalibur, wondering when Shadowpaws and Snotter would arrive. It seemed as though her patience paid off. She heard voices coming from one of the tunnels. Yes, those were the voices of Shadowpaws and Snotter. They'd made it. But there was someone else with them too. A voice Frosty didn't recognize. Who was that other person with them? As they got closer, Frosty could hear their conversation more clearly. So, anyway, that's how I broke my wing. Yeah, great story. Hey, what else do you think is down here? So far, I found 2 blue crystals, some gold coins, and some really cool glow fungi. Shh! Would you keep it down? You're gonna cause a cave-in. Oh, don't worry about that, Snotter. These tunnels look pretty sound to me. I've been in worse. Sounded like whoever this was, they were a real chatterbox. As Frosty pondered who this unknown person was, a number of shadowy figures rose from behind her in the black. A dozen pairs of demonic glowing eyes shone down onto Excalibur, casting it in shadow.